Welcome back to the show. I'm Roberto torres-cedillo, and we're back with another round of Q&A with Gordon.
Boy.
All right. All right.
You're going to throw a hard one at
Yeah,
me.
well, we'll see. No, I don't think it's hard. But just in light of current events, I noticed that a lot of people are arguing, and they have argued, I think, in the past, and it pains me to say this, but they've argued that Christians are judgmental, intolerant, and even racist, right? So they'll see the bad example of Christians, and they'll say, I don't want anything to do with Jesus. But if we turn to the source, like to the Gospels, to Jesus, like, what does he say? What is he doing when it comes to issues of inequality and racism?
Well, let me handle the first part, the judgmental. Jesus said, judge not and you will not be judged. And that's certainly true in the church today. I think the church has been known more for what we're against as opposed to what we're for. And as a result, it's lost some of its savor, it's lost its saltiness, if you will, and the preservation that the church brings, the gospel brings, and that salt and light. So can we resolve that we'll be salt and light and not be so reactionary and be known more for our love than what we're against?
Right.
Specifically on racism, the story that comes to mind is the woman at the well. And here's a Samaritan woman, and you know, in today's modern culture, there's still Samaritans in Israel, and they're considered outcasts to this day. They are half Jewish, and so as part of the nation of Israel, they were excluded because they were half Jewish. And they actually created their own religious observance and had their own special mountain to go worship the Lord. And so here's Jesus. He's going from Jerusalem, he's going from the Jewish holy city to Galilee, and he stops at a well. And he's very human in this moment. The Bible records, number one, he's hungry. He sends his disciples into the Samaritan city to get meat, which is curious. Will it be kosher? So he sends his disciples to get meat, and he's tired, and it's clear he's tired. And he sits down by the well, and he turns to a Samaritan woman and says, "Can you give me something to drink?" That is taboo for a rabbi.
Yeah.
To ask a woman to do anything is taboo, let alone a Samaritan woman, and a Samaritan woman with multiple husbands. So here he is saying, I am willing to be ritually impure for you, which is a phenomenal theological statement by Jesus the rabbi.
Yeah. For
him to say, I will take a cup of water from a woman. A rabbi can be ritually impure by just touching a woman. So here I will be ritually impure from not just any woman, but a Samaritan. And here's the amazing thing. The Son of God, the Messiah, is asking for a favor. Wow. And how beautiful that is.
Wow.
And how enlightening that is. He approaches her not as, I'm your Messiah, you should bow and worship me.
Right.
He approaches her as a person in need. I'm thirsty. Would you give me a drink? He asks her for a favor. And then he reveals to her, and it's the most direct revelation in the Gospels, other than the revelation to doubting Thomas. He reveals, I am the Messiah. And he's very specific with her. He affirms the truth. Salvation is of the Jews. She's into, you know, who's right? Are the Samaritans right? And is our mountain right? Is our temple right? Is our worship right? And he's very direct with that. Salvation is of the Jews. And then he says, I can give you living water. If you knew who was asking. And then she says, you know, she reveals some of her truth, but she's still hiding it. And he says, no, I'm seeing all of this. Yeah. You know, I see who you are. I see exactly what you're doing. Yeah. And she goes back to the village and says, he told me everything about my son. You've got to come meet him. He is the Messiah. Here's something that I think you can read this and not really understand. All of the disciples of Jesus went into that city. They were seeking food, but they didn't share that the bread of life is right outside.
Wow.
They don't preach the gospel. They aren't missionaries. Here, the Samaritan woman becomes a missionary to her entire community.
Wow.
You have to come hear him. And the Bible records that the entire village believed on Jesus because of her testimony. Now, apply that to today, and how many communities do we see as separate and apart, or they're not one of us, or, you know, just the list goes on and on of the number of things that we can use to separate one another. What if we went around that and said, well, let's start asking each other for favors and just see what happens? And then in that, realize you can preach Christ and have people who are not a people become a people, and we can become one. For in him we are one. There's neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male or female. We are all one in Christ. So let that be a lesson for all of us. Hello, I'm Gordon Robertson. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more encouraging videos like this one. Welcome to the 700 Club Interactive family, and God bless you.